Welcome to Truth is Now Treason. Today we are going to be talking about Israel and the lies that so many are spreading about it.
Welcome to Truth is Now Treason. Now, most rational people would probably agree that hate is not a good thing.
Unless, of course, you hate your wife's awful cooking.
Whatever. I just cooked for you and you were eating my food like a pig in a trough. Sorry, traders. Dietrich got me off track. Back to business. In fact, I think, in the United States have spent tons of money in this nation getting rid of hate, or at least attempting to get rid of hate.
Yeah, hatred toward people for what color of skin they have, hatred for what they believe. There's no benefit to hatred. Yeah, the good thing that we're seeing of this rejection of hatred based on isms is that we understand that people should live free, and that includes being free from hatred. Now, we at Truth is Not Treason, we're glad to see this, but unfortunately, we're facing a situation in the United States and across the globe where we're seeing one type of hatred skyrocket. And it's happening especially among younger generations.
Yeah, this younger generation that's supposed to be so tolerant. And I'm sorry if you're a young person listening.
I'm a young person listening.
No, he's not. But this younger group seems to be completely intolerant of one group. And it seems to be towards Jews. And the rise of anti-Semitism is kind of disturbing.
Yeah, if you listen to the CNN report regarding these hate crimes, this is something that was done 2 years ago. So it was in 2022. So this is before we've seen all this uprising that's been happening because of the October 7th attacks and Israel's retaliation to it. So this was a problem before this whole thing came about.
So listen to this clip.
We live in a world where hate is easy.
And Jews are the most targeted religious group in America, says the FBI, and it's getting worse.
We've seen an alarming increase in hate crimes across the country, many targeting members of the Asian American Pacific Islander and Jewish communities.
12% of Americans told pollsters that Jews in this country have too much power. And it's not an aging racist rump.
Anti-Semitic attitudes, including in our own data measured in the fall of 2020, not very long ago, consistently show higher levels among young people. Now, that point is worth emphasizing because most forms of prejudice that we study are higher among older people and lower among younger people.
Jews eating sushi in Los Angeles last month sought out by young pro-Palestinian men.
Get inside! Men in the cars got out, started running toward the tables and asking indiscriminately who's Jewish.
A Jew brutally beaten by young men in Times Square, New York. He was surrounded by a group that began to
kick me, punch me, assault me with weapons, and also pepper spray or mace me. I don't even know which one, for good measure at the end. I'm trying to be, macho and, not let it affect me, but it does affect you.
Now, if you go to our episode description, the link's there. All of them are there. You can see this young group of people, which is kind of shocking, just kicking and beating this guy up in the streets. I mean, simply for what? Being Jewish.
So wait, we got more bias and hate and violent acts against Jews by younger people? I thought this was supposed to be the generation that was less racist. But evidently that's not the case when it comes to Jews.
Yeah, the guy who you heard in that audio that was reciting that study was an associate professor of political science at Tufts University. And he said, most forms of prejudice we study are higher among older people, usually, and lower among young people.
Yeah, as we said, this study was done before the most recent attack on Israel by Hamas back in the fall of 2023. So it sounds to me, if this is the case, somebody's teaching these young people to hate Jews.
Mm-hmm. Why are we seeing a rise in hate crimes across the United States towards this group? I mean, even the FBI concurred.
Yeah, why are there all these protests in these various cities and on college campuses? Why such hate for Jews across the world? And especially, we're seeing this rise too. Why is that? Could it be because we have all these media outlets who are puppets for these global organizations like the UN and these activists and university professors and many in the Democrat Party, including the Biden and Obama administrations? They're using the same verbiage. They're all saying the same thing. They're pushing a lie to their audiences.
So what is the lie that they're pushing? Well, it basically sounds like this. There was a group of people in Palestine who were called the Arabs, minding their own business, and then a bunch of Jews just came and pushed them off their land. These Jews kicked them out and forced them into camps and then took over and began oppressing the Arab people. Those forced off their land by the Jews became what we call freedom fighters.
Yeah.
Just soldiers trying to get their own land back from Israel, taking what is rightfully owned by them, the Palestinians or the Arabs, not Israel. So, of course, anyone who is a loving person would say, how could you deny these people a right to get their land back after they had been kicked off it? Those who did this horrible thing, those occupiers who have done this must be defeated.
And to see this whole lie tied up into one word, just look for that word, occupier. Whenever the word occupier or occupy is attached to Israel, that's how you recognize the lie. Because this is a common lie that we're hearing repeated by many in positions of power. We're going to give you just a few examples of people repeating this lie about Israel occupying somebody else's land. Now, we use this one you're going to play here now in our first episode, Israel Part 2. Here's Barack Obama, the king liar himself, repeating this tale.
That what Hamas did was horrific, and there's no justification for it. And what is also true is that the occupation and what's happening to Palestinians is unbearable.
Now, Biden has said this also, by the way.
And here is somebody from the United Nations that you're going to hear saying the same thing as Biden and Obama. It was at a Human Rights Council. It was just this last fall, HRC 54. In their meeting, this was right after Hamas attacked Israel in the fall. Hamas, who killed over 1,200 civilians, including raping women and beheading children.
Yeah, in this next clip, you're going to hear this UN council member blaming Israel for this violence committed against it, saying it is because of Israel occupying Palestinian territory for 7 decades. That's why the Hamas terror attack happened.
Regrettably, this whole huge loss of lives and unabated violence is a sad reminder of more than 7 decades of illegal foreign occupation, aggression, and disrespect for the international law, including UNSC resolutions.
Not only did he say this aggression against Israel was because they occupied this territory that wasn't theirs for 70 plus years, but this UN council, they took a moment to observe silence, or a moment of silence to observe the lives lost in Gaza, meaning the Palestinian lives lost in Gaza and elsewhere. That was the title to the article. They wouldn't even say Israel or Israeli civilians. They just took a moment of silence to observe these lives lost in Gaza and elsewhere. At least, let's be fair. On both sides, they have lost civilians. Let's say Israel and Palestine. Now, here are some more pushing the same false narrative.
For many around the world, including the United Nations, Israel is an occupier on land stolen from Palestinians.
But the reality is that the root cause of what we see today is the continuation of Israeli illegal occupation of Palestinian land.
Israel is occupying the West Bank and Gaza Strip.
And yes, I've said that the occupation that Israel has maintained on West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip, is illegal for many reasons.
As you can see, there's coordination by many media outlets here in the United States with ABC News and Young Turks, and even globally in the United Nations. They're using the accusatory words against Israel, saying it's an occupier of stolen lands.
I think what comes to my mind when I hear all these people saying this is that old adage, if you repeat a lie often enough, you will believe it as truth.
Yeah, I think some of these people actually believe that Israel stole this land, but there's a lot of them out there who know it's a lie, and they're hoping to convince people like you and me to join in on this lie, believing it too, because more people you got on your side, that makes you right?
Yeah, so what is meant by those words? Anytime you hear them, Israel's occupation of, or Israel's occupying something, clearly can be defined as the state of Israel needs to get out of that area, which truly belongs to the Arabs and the Palestinians.
Now, keep this in mind. Whenever somebody lies, there has to be a small amount of truth to it for people to believe it. Now, although it is true that Israel controls some of these territories currently, these people who say this are not speaking the whole truth. They're leaving out some facts, crucial facts, which we're going to dive into briefly.
And obviously, there is no way to include everything about this conflict due to this being such a complex issue. But know this, anyone who repeats these words is not for Israel.
But truth is now treason. We're going to do what we do best. We're going to expose this lie.
So you might ask, well, what's wrong with saying this? What's wrong with saying Israel is illegally possessing land or Israel is occupying that land? Well, you have to look at the historical facts. And that's what we're going to dive into in our next episode.
Yeah, as we've heard in these audio clips, there's those who want to lie to you about what has happened in this region. We have no interest in lies. Well, Lennox is interested in believing the lie that she's a good cook.
Hey, traders, it looks like I will be continuing this series on my own because Dietrich won't be around next week to help me because he'll be too maimed to speak after I beat him up.
Actually, it'll be because I'm so malnourished because I haven't been given anything edible to eat in months. Yeah, we want to thank you guys. Make sure that you are going to all our social media areas and you're hitting that like button. You're hitting the subscribe button. By doing that, we're not asking you to eat Lennox's ptomaine au gratin. We're just asking you to like Truth is Now Treason. And we're such likable people. Why wouldn't you do that anyway? Yeah, so what we tried to do with this episode is we were wanting to show you what the lie is. Next week, we're going to show you why it's a lie. We're going to point out historically how these people, they're twisting facts. Until next time, my fellow traders.